how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. For today's video, I'm proud to present an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Convertible equipped with the Z51 Performance Package. This is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the Stingray. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip, go over the performance data, take it on a thorough road test, and show you many of the unique aspects of both the interior as well as exterior. I'd also like to extend a special thanks and shout out to Farmington Dragway of Moxville, North Carolina for allowing us to film at their facility the other day. For more information about the track, events, and how you can get involved, please feel free to check out their website provided in the description box below. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in, start it up, let it run. This example is finished in torch red paired to a jet black interior with Nappa leather covering the seats, dashboard, door panels, and center console. The added leather is part of the 3LT preferred equipment group, while the red contrast stitching is a new option for 2016. With over $14,000 worth of options including the carbon fiber interior package, our tester stickers for $79,415 including destination. To start, all you have to do is just make sure you have the key fob within the interior, put your foot on the brake and clutch, then hit the dash mounted button to go. The C7 uses an electrically assisted variable ratio speed proportional power steering system that's 5 times stiffer than the hydraulic system used on the C6. The car is sharp as an arrow, very responsive and agile. The overall feedback transfer to the driver is fantastic. You can feel the car more, knowing exactly what the front wheels are up to at any given moment. A lot of that owes its thanks to a 150% increase in column stiffness, a 600% increase in intermediate shaft torsional stiffness, and mounting the steering gear to the aluminum front cradle structure. The steering ratio varies between 12 and 16.4 based on which drive mode you're currently in. It takes 2.53 turns to lock and has a 37.7 foot turning radius. The C7 also benefits from a smaller 3-spoke steering wheel versus previous Corvettes. Measuring 14.1 inches in diameter, it makes motions feel more direct and accurate. The flat bottom design was introduced last year on the Z06 and is now standard on all Stingrays. High quality leather wraps the wheel with our tester's red accent stitching. There's grip bolsters at 10 and 2 with genuine brushed aluminum trims surrounding the airbag cover and multifunction controls. For 2016, the Stingray is offered with your choice of 2 transmissions, including this excellent 7-speed manual with active rev matching and a Hydromatic 8L90 8-speed automatic. The Z51 Performance Package brings shorter gearing for the manual trans, coolers for the differential and transmission, and a 3-mode electronic limited-slip differential that divides the torque between the rear wheels to the one with the most traction. The final drive ratio for the manual is 3.42 regardless of whether the Z51 package is specified or not. Active rev match is easily one of the coolest things I've seen lately and is engaged by a set of paddles behind the steering wheel. Labeled rev match, these are the same paddles that allow you to shift the car manually when equipped with the automatic. Pull on either paddle and the white gear indicator will illuminate orange in the instrument cluster. Then, all you have to do when downshifting is to depress the clutch and change gears. The car does the rest. No accelerator modulation is required. It emits a prominent throttle blip and maintains the car's velocity, perfect through tight corners. Of course, you can leave rev match off if you prefer to do it yourself. One thing to note with rev match is that it's purely for performance, so when activated, downshifting in the car will not slow it down. For this reason, I recommend deactivating rev matching if driving on steep grades. The 7-speed uses a dual-mass flywheel and twin-disc clutch to improve response, shift quality, and reduce friction. Like the Tremec TR6060 in the 2016 Camaro SS, it's a blast to drive. There's a well-defined grab point with an appreciable level of feedback and firmness. The 7-speed would definitely be my transmission of choice. It's so smooth and easy to operate, shifts are short and precise. The rev matching just adds icing to the cake. All routed through a leather-wrapped shift knob. I haven't driven the 8-speed auto, but it does appear to be an intriguing option if you prefer the convenience. It promises quicker acceleration and improved efficiency over the previous 6-speed auto, while delivering a level of performance comparable to a dual-clutch transmission. Close gear spacing keeps the LT1 V8 in the ideal RPM band longer and more consistently, making it a bit quicker than the manual gearbox. Despite having 4 gear sets and 5 clutches, clever packaging allows it to take up the same amount of space as the 2014 Stingray 6-speed auto. The 8-speed's aluminum and magnesium construction help it decrease weight by more than 8 pounds. Reduced internal friction is said to contribute to 5% greater efficiency over the 6-speed auto. A backup camera with adaptive guidance lines is standard on all trims, but new for 2016 is the available front curve view with cameras mounted in the front bumper. It gives 3 different views in the MyLink system with guidance lines. Behind the gearbox is your drive mode select switch where the driver can toggle between weather, eco, tour, sport, and track. It affects 12 different parameters from throttle response, steering resistance, magnetic ride control, exhaust mode, and the StabiliTrak system to launch control and so much more. The drive modes can also be synced up with the Reconfigurable instrument cluster that offers 3 different layouts of gauges. It's pretty cool. We'll cover that a little bit more later in the video. If desired, you can also turn traction control off and activate a competitive mode for track days, similar to the 2016 Camaro SS. Activating the Performance Traction Management System, though, takes this a step further by working with the limited slip differential to offer 5 settings of torque reduction and brake intervention. This fine-tunes the car for the track days based on your skill level. So let's go ahead and flip on the automatic bifunction LED accent and HID headlamps and the hazards. Both windows are fully automatic, so let's go ahead and check out the exterior. Upon closing the door, the interior will chime to let you know it's lost detection proximity key fob. With all of the new and redesigned sports cars coming out recently, it's an awesome time to be a car enthusiast. The Corvette has always been known as America's sports car, so when it came to redesigning it for the 7th generation, or C7 back in 2014, a lot had to be taken into consideration to make sure it hit the appropriate marks of precision, quality, and performance to keep it in line with the competition. This is undeniably the most advanced Corvette ever created, not just from a technology standpoint, but how it's made. It benefits from an all-new aluminum chassis. Since it's lighter and stiffer than steel, aluminum construction in this case often leads to better handling, greater agility, and improved safety when pushed to the limit. This is especially true for the Corvette. Previously, the C6's chassis was primarily made from steel, unless you went with the fixed-roof Z06. That was the first Corvette to extensively use aluminum in its chassis. The C7's aluminum frame is 99 pounds lighter and 22% stiffer than the C6 Z06. Stiffness for the convertible is increased by 57% and requires no mechanical changes or additional reinforcements, making it practically identical to the Coupe in all performance and capability measures. Convertible curb weight compared to the Coupe increases by about 60 pounds or so. The biggest changes were limited to accommodations to the folding soft top, repositioning the seatbelt, and relocating the transmission and differential coolers from the fenders to the underbody, which still vent out through the tail lamp housings and outlets at the outer edges of the lower rear fascia. The C7 is slightly larger than the C6, gaining 2.4 inches in length and 1 inch in width. Its shape primarily comes from aerodynamics and cooling requirements. This is a downright beautiful car, sleek, curvy, aggressive, and purposeful. LED accented HID lighting up front is set within black chrome housings, while 3-dimensional LED tail lamps aid to that menacing look out back, integrating LED reverse lights. As expected, all of the vents in the body are functional, help decrease drag, provide greater cooling, add downforce, or a combination of the 3. For example, the repositioned radiator up front helps extract hot air from the engine bay more effectively while improving downforce and reducing lift by allowing air to pass through the front, exit at the hood, and flow over the windshield, versus being forced around and underneath the car. The black fender vents help pull air out of the wheel wells for cooling and a reduction in positive pressure to reduce lift. Out back, a prominent black diffuser channels air from the front and flat underbody combined with the ducktail spoiler to add more downforce over the rear wheels. The powered soft top can perform its duty in 21 seconds at speeds up to 30 miles an hour. It's stored underneath a body-colored tonneau cover. With the top lowered, the lines that extend from the headlamps and doors flow uninterrupted to the rear, creating a boat tail silhouette across the trunk lid. The aluminum frame is designed and built in-house at GM's Bowling Green, Kentucky assembly plant. It's composed of 5 segments of various compositions and thicknesses ranging from 2mm to 11mm, compared to the C6 Z06 which featured continuous 2mm thick hydroform frame rails. The thickness is tailored to the shape of the component to optimize strength where it matters the most and eliminate unnecessary weight. The outer portions are 2.4mm aluminum extrusions that are attached to rigid cast aluminum nodes which mount up to the suspension. The middle hydroform rail is 3.8mm thick. 18 pounds were added back, however, due to the central torque tube's new steel housing that was added to decrease the vibrations on the engine's new cylinder deactivation system when it converts to a V4 at cruising speed. The body panels are now made from a new sheet-molded composite that's lighter and firmer than previous materials. Carbon fiber also makes the standard material for both the hood and roof. In addition to the hood, the Coupe's removable roof can be finished in exposed carbon fiber for a cost. Since carbon fiber does offer less thermal expansion and movement than fiberglass or composite, it's able to keep more of a consistent shape and add to rigidity. With the use of these lighter materials and SMC panels, the C7's body weighs 37 pounds less than the previous model. As you would expect, construction precision has also improved greatly, utilizing body gaps of 3mm or less. The standard Corvettes feature new wheel designs for 2016 and measure 18 by 8.5 inches in front and 19 by 10 inches in the rear. With the Z51 Performance Package, you receive unique forged aluminum wheels that can be had in a variety of finishes from painted silver, chrome, black machined aluminum, and gloss black like the ones on our tester. These are also larger in diameter with the same width, 19 inches in front, 20 inches in the rear. Helping the Corvette achieve up to 1.03G in cornering grip is a set of bespoke Michelin Pilot Super Sport run flat tires, two 45/35s in front and two 85/30s in the rear for the Z51. These tires are super sticky and offer tons of grip. Stopping from 60 miles an hour takes just 107 feet thanks to a four-wheel internally ventilated Brembo braking system, with 4 piston fixed calipers at each corner. The red calipers are an option. The Z51 benefits from larger 13.6-inch front discs compared to the 12.6-inch discs in the standard Corvette. Both use 13.3-inch discs in the rear. Stopping distances for the standard brakes have been improved thanks to a 35% increase in swept area. On top of that, the larger Z51 brakes have 6% more swept area than a C6 Grand Sport, which help improve relative stopping distances even further. The curved slots, a design borrowed from Corvette racing, help dissipate heat and is said to offer greater durability than conventional drilled holes. To help reduce fade under hard track use, the Z51 adds brake cooling ducts to the front grille and underneath the car. The Stingray uses an independent double wishbone suspension with transverse composite springs front and rear. The solid upper and hollow lower control arms are cast from aluminum for a reduced unsprung mass, along with aluminum rear toe links compared to the previous steel links. New hollow cast aluminum front and rear cradles reduce weight by 25% compared to the previous solid units while boosting stiffness by 20%. Z51s use larger 45mm Bilstein monotube shocks for greater body control on the track. Magnetic ride control continues to be offered, reacting 40% faster than previous generations, but is now available on all Stingrays for 2016, not just the Z51. It's equipped on our tester and firms or relaxes the suspension almost instantaneously based on the drive mode selected, road condition, and driving behavior. It's the stiffest while in track mode and the most relaxed in weather, eco, and tour. Overall, the car drives like a proper sports car. It's tight, firm, very agile. It rides pretty good overall, even in track mode considering the added firmness. It just makes you feel connected and always glued to the pavement. Overall length is 176.9 inches with a width of 73.9 inches and a height of 48.6 inches. Wheelbase is 106.7 inches while total curb weight for the convertible is around 3,362 pounds. First introduced on the C7 for 2014, the 6.2-liter all-aluminum LT1 V8 continues this year unchanged. It's an all-aluminum overhead valve pushrod engine that features cast-in-place iron bore liners and 2 valves per cylinder. Variable valve timing, direct fuel injection, and active fuel management help boost performance and efficiency. The compression ratio is rated at 11.5 to 1 alongside a 6,600 RPM redline. A wet sump oiling system is standard, but a motorsports-derived dry sump system is added with the Z51. It delivers impressive performance numbers and excellent fuel economy for an engine of this size. What's even more awesome is that the LT1 is also available in the Gen 6 Camaro SS for 2016. Despite sharing almost identical power ratings, the Corvette is a different beast entirely. Sure, it weighs a couple hundred pounds less than the SS, but the low center of gravity, perfect weight distribution, and smaller size allow it to take more advantage of the LT1's offerings. With our tester's multi-mode exhaust, it pumps out 460 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 465 pound-feet of torque at 4,600 RPM. This translates to a 0 to 60 time as low as 3.7 seconds for the automatic, 3.8 seconds for the manual, and a claimed quarter-mile time of 12 seconds at 119 miles an hour. I feel very fortunate to have been able to drive this car for a week. It's easily one of the most engaging and entertaining sports cars to come out of America in recent time. The active rev match feature is awesome and adds an extra degree of performance. If you opt for the manual and are driving in eco mode, active fuel management or cylinder deactivation will automatically turn the V8 into a 3.1-liter V4 at cruising speed. In this mode, the LT1 is producing 126 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM, perfectly capable for maintaining higher speeds around 60 to 70 miles an hour or so. I believe the automatic functions in a similar way. The Z51's 2.75-inch diameter multi-mode exhaust system features vacuum-controlled valves that bypass the mufflers under harder acceleration. It sounds incredible, especially in track mode. Compared to the loud and muscular note of the Gen 6 Camaro SS, the Corvette sounds more exotic. It's much higher pitched as it climbs to higher RPMs. The quad-polished tips are always a nice touch. The sound can also be tailored through the drive modes for more stealth or full-on aggression, as we'll talk about in a bit. As far as fuel economy, with an 18.5-gallon tank and recommended premium fuel for maximum performance, the EPA rates the Stingray between 17 miles to a gallon in the city and 29 on the highway. Expect an average somewhere around 21 miles to a gallon. As we've talked about in previous videos, some of the most important changes to the C7 lie within its passenger compartment. The C6 was a great value for performance, but towards the end of its life cycle, the interior was beginning to look dated in terms of material quality and features offered. With the C7's introduction came a redesigned interior that was unlike any Corvette before it. Compared to its predecessor, it's on an entirely new level. The build quality, premium touches, and technology crammed into this car is spectacular, especially for the price. All of the interior surfaces within easy reach are now wrapped in soft-touch material or hand-stitched leather and available accent stitching. There's not a single piece of the interior carried over from the C6, which gives the C7 the modern new age feel is so desperately needed to compete with more premium marques. Another big leap for the C7 is passenger comfort. Chevrolet offers two different seat styles for greater customizability. The GT seat like we have here is a nice blend of padding and lateral grip for everyday use. There's nice attention to detail with the available color accent stitching, perforated leather, fixed headrest, and a little Corvette medallion on the backrest. On the other hand, for a bit more aggression, the competition seat is more race-inspired with spots to insert a racing harness and more grip under high-speed cornering. The seats in general now utilize magnesium frames and a stiffer structure to prevent flexing and bending while shaving weight. To make more space for the passengers, the airbags were repositioned to a separate entity on the sides of the seats rather than being integrated into the cushion. They're fully powered with adjustable lumbar. Your power locks, windows, and memory seat settings are located on the door, while your mirrors are on the dash. Obviously, there's not a ton of interior storage space, but that's pretty much what you would expect out of this class. There's some small storage pockets across the doors, there's a decent glove box, a shallow center console, and some small cubbies behind the seats. Speaking of the seats, in between them, that flowing painted waterfall portion with the Corvette logo is unique to the convertible only. The dash in our tester is a perfect example of the C7's overall attention to detail. With multiple layers and available premium materials from the leather, carbon fiber, and the standard aluminum, it looks beautiful in person. It's also a very purposeful interior. Everything is within easy reach, the ergonomics are excellent, and I love the grip bar that splices the middle of the dash into the center console. It surrounds the driver with all the essential controls and kind of reminds me of the Jaguar F-Type a little bit. The passenger side is very simple, but one thing I really like, since you do have that grip bar in the middle, Chevrolet added climate controls as well as the heated and ventilated seat controls to the passenger side, so it's much easier to reach than having to reach over the grip bar. In the 3LT, the windshield header and visors are all wrapped in Alcantara or micro suede, and the door designs for both the driver and passenger differ slightly. Pretty cool in person. So now let's go ahead and demonstrate the multi-mode exhaust system, both sitting still and on the road. With the Z51 Performance Package, you receive a multi-mode exhaust system that actually has 4 different modes that you can either tie to the 4 different driving modes or individually customize through the MyLink system. If you go into Settings, click on Driving Mode, Engine Sound Management, you can set it to Auto, Stealth, Tour, Sport, and the most aggressive track setting. So what I'm going to do is show you the different modes and how the exhaust note changes between them. For today's purposes and time's sake, I won't include all of the sound clips. I'm going to focus on Stealth and Track for today's purposes, but I will be uploading a pure sound video in the near future, which covers all of them in sound for this vehicle much more in depth. So first we'll kick it off with Track Mode, which is the most aggressive setting. Now for the next clip, the exhaust is set to stealth mode, which is the quietest setting. So that's a quick overview of the multi-mode exhaust system in the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette. For a more in-depth look at all the different modes of the exhaust and how they compare between them, stay tuned for my pure sound video coming in the near future. When the video is live, I'll add the link to the top right-hand corner of the video player. I've talked about this in previous videos, but one of my favorite interior features of the Stingray is its instrument cluster. It has a combination of analog gauges to either side and a TFT high-res digital display in the middle. It primarily houses your tachometer, but you have your driver information system, various vehicle status functions, telephone, navigation, personalizable options, and so much more. It's all controlled through this arrow pad right here. If you click to the left, it brings up the menu so you can bring up performance gauges, information, audio, telephone, navigation, and the customizable features. Now, one of the nice things about the customizable features is the fact that this is a reconfigurable display, so this is not the only layout you can choose. You can go between a track, sport, and tour mode, or link it to the drive mode, which is pretty cool. So, for example, let's go ahead and pull up the performance screen again. So right now we're in tour. This layout is the same for tour, eco, and weather. And if you notice off to the far right, I selected the performance indicator to the left, so it shows up various vehicle status features, which is nice. If you go up to sport, that's when the gauges start to get a little bit more exciting. I really like this layout. This is a nice balance between sport and traditional analog gauges that matches the outer ones. But when you go over to track, that's my favorite one. You remember the digital hockey stick style fashion of the C4? Well, this reminds me a lot of that, and these old school like 80s looking performance gauges down below there instead of the digital readout off to the right. I just think that is so cool, especially when you rev it out. To see it climb all the way to redline is just the coolest thing. Of course, while in track mode, you have lap timers up there, a digital speed readout, and a lighting tree at the very top that shows you the appropriate shift intervals. So our tester features the available heads-up display that beams a lot of information on the windshield, including a lateral G-force meter, navigation, tachometer, speed limit on the road, digital speed readout, and which gear you're in. You can customize the layout based on the drive modes like Tour, Sport, and Track, or you can do it manually via the controls to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. In addition to being able to raise and lower it, you can also change the brightness and manually select the layout from different style tachometers, digital speed readout. It's easy to see, especially at night, very unobtrusive and high-res graphics. So now let's go ahead and put the top up. We'll go ahead and shut her up. Our tester features the excellent Bose premium surround sound system that's all routed through Chevrolet's MyLink infotainment system. It's an 8-inch LCD touchscreen interface that benefits from a lot of smartphone-type technology, not to mention satellite radio, hands-free Bluetooth technology, and even Apple CarPlay. One of the coolest things though, and this is very common to other applications of the MyLink system, if you hit the screen button off to the left, you can lower the screen to expand a padded hidden storage compartment. It's also LED illuminated and has an extra USB port. Mentioned, along with the extra leather upholstery, the 3LT also features Alcantara across the entire windshield surround and wrap in the visors. There's 3-position garage home link on the driver's side, not to mention LED illuminated vanity mirrors. Hands-free Bluetooth microphone off to the left. In the middle you have LED reading lamps, an elegant frameless rearview mirror that's auto-dimming, and your touch-sensitive OnStar controls. I just think the build quality and styling in here is amazing. I mean, we've talked about it already, but with the aluminum detailing, the color accent stitching, and all the leather across the dash, how it flows around the driver and creates a very driver-focused cockpit, and I love the fact that you can opt for this matte finish carbon fiber to either side. Very cool. So I've covered the MyLink system in great depth during previous videos, so I'm not going to bore you with all the fine details. I'll give you a quick overview just for a little refresher, but I will talk about some of the unique features of it. We recently checked out the 2016 Camaro, and you can check out the link in the top right hand corner of this video, and I also cover the MyLink system in that, but it's a little bit different from this one. This one has a lot of the similar features, including Apple CarPlay, which I'll show you in just a second, but unlike the new Camaro, this is not a capacitive touchscreen like you would find in the Cadillac Q system, so it's not quite as sensitive like a smartphone. When you tap it, you actually have to press the screen. Not a big deal at all, but just compared to some newer systems, but I actually like this better because it's a satin finish on the screen, and unlike the capacitive touchscreen, which is a high gloss screen, you don't see a lot of the fingerprints on this, so that's definitely a big plus for this system. So with your audio screen, radio, different media modes, of course satellite radio, iPod, auxiliary, hands-free Bluetooth streaming, and all that good stuff. When you're in these menus, you also have shortcut keys up top there for messaging, navigation, telephone, and the rear view or the split view camera up front like I showed you earlier. You can browse the device, preset stations located in the bottom, you can pause, rewind live radio. It's a pretty neat system overall. Hands-free Bluetooth telephone, of course, your navigation, very easy to use, destination entry. It's very quick to go between the different menus as well. This is next to the Chrysler Uconnect system. I believe this and that are some of the best systems available in the domestic market right now. Settings down below there, different personalizable options like a smartphone. You can scroll, pinch, swipe. Pandora Internet Radio, real-time weather updates. You can bring up a map, store locations. Swipe it over, you can customize the menu to show different things here and there. Real-time traffic updates, OnStar, again, the messaging service when you have your smartphone synced up. Now, the other two unique things, Apple CarPlay and the PDR, or Performance Data Recorder. With Apple CarPlay, I currently have my iPhone connected. When you have your phone connected, you can basically control everything here just like you would off your phone. So you see the little home icon down below there. Imagine if the phone was tilted horizontally, it makes a little bit more sense. But here's your main menu. It's all of the typical Apple icons, messages, maps, phone, music, all of that. Pretty cool. So when you actually have GM vehicles that don't have navigation like the 1SS Camaro we tested, you can actually use the phone's map through the system. It shows your time, cell signal. Very cool. At first I was like, it seems kind of pointless or so as far like connecting everything all the time, but you know, it's definitely pretty handy overall. I've used it a few times now. The PDR is by far the coolest thing I've seen lately. Basically, you put a SD card into the glove box here, if I can get it open, right down below there. It uses a camera mounted ahead of the rear view mirror, so it gives a pretty cool bird's eye view like I'll show you in just a second. The camera's mounted in the front bumper just for the like the split view parking system. You can choose video overlays with different, whether it's 0 to 60 times, RPMs, lateral Gs, it'll all display on the video and stuff. And I'm going to show that next, just for an example of driving. So after you're done recording, you can re-watch your recorded sessions back to back. Of course, it's all stored on the SD card. This is just so amazing. And it's cool that you can put different overlays and stuff like that as well. So different performance readouts depending on if you're doing 0 to 60 times or just having a little bit of fun. But this is really cool. You can set a finish line. There's various settings. You can do valet mode recording, so a little bit of extra security, I suppose. Immediately start recording. If you have one in there, it shows you how much time you have remaining, and you can also watch the videos on the screen after you're done, so you can check to see if it was a good lap. You can then put it on the internet, YouTube, whatever you want. So neat. All in all, that's a basic overview of the MyLink system in the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. So as we continue down the center stack, that little flicker in the screen that you see is just an effect of my camera, but right beneath that you have some shortcut keys: rewind, fast forward, seek, change track, radio, media, home, and you can use that little rotary wheel right there to scroll between the different options, and there's a menu button for settings. A dual zone electronic automatic climate control system is standard. You have the driver's temperature adjustment here. Passengers are adjusted over there, like I showed you earlier, along with the 3-stage heated and ventilated seats. So 2 main rotary wheels. The changes also show in the MyLink system. Heated and cooled seats, one-touch automatic, syncing both sides, front and rear defrost, and all of your different zones. In the very bottom, there's a little Corvette Stingray plaque that in the Z06 it actually shows like 650 horsepower and all that kind of stuff, so it's pretty cool. But if you custom order your car and you want to pick it up, or I don't know how all that works, you can actually get a personalized plate right there, like this car was built for Kyle Lindsay or something like that. So I like that little bit of extra touch of detail. The brushed aluminum that you see here also wraps in between the leather and carbon fiber, which is another nice added detail. Across the center console, you have more leather padding that comes into the back, wraps around. Modest amount of storage like any Corvette before, but also houses your media inputs and an extra 12-volt power outlet. You have 2 cup holders right here and a forward power outlet. As far as the steering wheel, on the right-hand side, you have the driver information controls like I talked about earlier, hands-free telephone and voice commands. Left-hand side, you have your cruise control. Down below, there's some radio controls, including changing the track and go between your different presets, and your radio volume.
Command, please.
Help.
You can say phone, audio, navigation, weather, or OnStar. To call a number quicker, say call followed by the number, like this. Call 555-1212. To quickly change what is playing on an audio system.
You also have your intermittent wipers, the left-hand side lighting and turn signals. Alrighty. Go ahead and shut her down. And we'll check out cargo space. I always thought cargo space for the Corvette was pretty good for what it is. For the Coupe, it's around 15 cubic feet or so, obviously with the big hatch, but the convertible, it drops 5 to just 10 cubic feet. Still plenty for a weekend getaway. You can see some of the exposed composite bodywork in there, but the most things to take away is that there is a 12-volt power outlet, there's illumination to either side, so it's easy to see at night. There's even a new soft closing feature, so you don't have to close the trunk lid with quite so much pressure. You just put it down and a power-assisted mechanism does the rest for you. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Convertible. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.